think, we did a lot of that, and it was to do with, helping your participants, and primarily for me, for helping myself and all the rest of it. Yeah, it was really good.
Oh, hang on. Was it the training course, perhaps? The 4-module training course, perhaps?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah. All right, good. Yeah.
So I've come back for more.
Yeah, all good then. All good. Cool. So that's just about 4 or 5 past. So we shall crack on. So I'm just going to mute you, Kelly, if that's all right. And then I'll just open up for any kind of questions right at the end, but I'll just mute you so there's no kind of background noise from anybody, if that's all right. Not to be rude or anything, but just to keep the noise down for a bit. So yeah, obviously this will be going out to, we got, I think, 10 or 11 fitness coaches and instructors and some PTs as well. So it's all great to have everybody on board. Just a very quick overview for, I think, most people, certainly obviously I'm Kelly, I've known Kim for quite a while, and a few others that have known me through the Lesmore circles and through the land of social media and Instagram. But if you're fairly kind of new to sort of me and the group X nutrition sort of scene, just a very quick overview. I'll keep it very, very quick. Where do I start? So just Lesmore's UK presenter, trainer, assessor, got into nutrition coaching, was quite vocal on the Lesmore's forums and stuff like that. I used to get tagged all the time about, myths and food, all that kind of carry on. So that just became a bigger and bigger sort of avenue. Left the whole Lesmore scene a couple of years ago. And then off the back of doing stuff, writing the body pump brief and sprint briefs for a while. I've done a couple of articles for Lesmore International, a couple of webinars as well, with I forget what that series was called. And then subsequently stuff for local gyms, one including energy fitness as well. And I just realized they're talking to kind of Kelly, that a training course for fitness instructors and personal trainers last year as well. So certified nutrition kind of coach as well. So it's not just sort of stuff that I've just read or made up. It's not my personal opinion and whatever else. And I'm a fairly firm believer in coaching is about, making a change, creating an impact. It's not about lecturing. It's about guiding and telling, empowering, all that kind of stuff. I do it in my sort of typical manner. Got a bit of a weird accent because I'm originally from South Africa, although I've been living in Scotland for the last 20 odd years. But my sort of nature and just direct personality means that the stuff that comes across as quite direct. Certainly no bullshit is the kind of tag, and minimal kind of fluff. So that means for me as a coach, trying to make things really clear, really, just clear, I think is the word, coach with kind of clarity. If you don't have the clarity, you don't know where to kind of go, sort of thing. So that's it, fairly open-minded. So happy to kind of always hear any kind of thoughts and have some really good chats and conversations. But that's a little bit of context, kind of background as well. So hopefully that kind of sort of not helps or kind of just sets things up. So what's in store? The Fat Loss Kickstarter is primarily, it's driven with the tag, obviously, that we're going to lose a bit of fat. We're going to lose a little bit of weight. That's the premise. So obviously from perhaps lockdown stuff, from Christmas and holidays and whatever, just carrying a few extra pounds and maybe having a bit more direction, a bit more clarity as to what to do with nutrition, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. It can be really confusing, and just knowing how much went to about macros and all that kind of stuff. And, giving you the knowledge and the insight as to how to avoid those fat loss myths and pitfalls and all that carry on that's so easily, sort of done, just falling into the kind of diet cycle and diet culture. So yeah, hopefully through the 6 sessions, we'll go through everything we need to go through. It is aimed at helping you, drop a dress size, lose 4 to 6 pounds, etc., etc. The added bonuses, ideally, will be the fact that you'll be feeling much better. You're going to be feeling more energized to be teaching. You'll be recovering better as well. And the added bonus of not only more kind of sort of body self-confidence, but just have that little light bulb above your head, just a bit more clarity on what you really need to focus on. And when you hear or see that noise in the upcoming weeks and months, about maybe insulin or about this diet and all this kind of stuff, you're going to have those tools and that kind of knowledge in the background to make the kind of better choices for yourself, long afterwards. And in one of the posts that I shared, obviously it's a focus for like 3 weeks, but the tension is that it's not just it could be really easy if I just said, right, just eat 1,000 calories for the next 21 days, right? And we'll see who can lose the most, okay? But that's not really the way that I like to do things, and it's not really effective coaching. So we want to be obviously making a few strides in the 21 days, in the 3 weeks, but it'll be really, really great. Like I will take a lot more satisfaction, I guess, if that you continue along that path and still continue to lose weight after 3 months. And one of the posts I put up was of a fitness coach and a PT, Ashley, who had pretty much done that. You know, it was 6 pounds in the first 3 weeks, and then another 9 pounds in the what's 8 plus 2, 8 plus 8 plus another 9 weeks afterwards, right? So within 3 months, you end up losing like a stone. So that's the kind of goal, is that it's a big focus for 3 weeks, but then hopefully you've got everything that you need to continue that on. I don't want you to regain this in week 4, if you know what I mean. You're like, yeah, I lost 4 pounds, and then 2 weeks later you're like, oh, I can stuck it back on again. What's the point, kind of thing? Okay, just no point in that. All right, so let's get stuck in. We're rambling along for a little bit already. So here we go, nutrition 101. So we're starting off obviously with the kind of basics. So just jump back already. You've got to know the kind of bit of basics, bit of kind of background, because everything's going to come off of this first kind of session. Okay. In the emails that you would have had this morning, the 2 emails that were sent out, you will now have your habit tracker. Okay, that you're going to be building kind of towards. So the things that we kind of alluding to in this session, you're going to start from tomorrow, looking to start tracking your kind of habits. Okay, so just big, you know, was it 9 things in there, minus the 2 habits, I think. So it's like 7 actionable things to do every day. So every day we are going to be addressing, you know, better protein. We're looking at fruits, looking at steps, looking at water, all that kind of stuff. Okay. And that habit score is going to be really kind of critical in the next couple of days or next couple of weeks. And then you've also got your activity tracker and kind of food tracker. So ideally, if you can retrace your steps back from today and complete it for 3 days, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or feel free, our session is on the evening on Thursday, so we can do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The key is that we need to have 3 days of you tracking your food and your activity, okay? Because we're going to use those 3 days to calculate our maintenance calories on the second day, okay? You have activity tracker in there. You have your first free guide of the food labels, how to read food labels. And then, so those are the 3 things to kind of kick off with, okay? But everything is going to come off of this session. So a bit of a overview and background first. So we're on a kind of even playing field. So energy balance, this is where it all happens. This is where it all happens, okay? So fat loss can only be achieved through a net caloric or calorific deficit that is consistent over time. And that's the big words, all right? Consistent over time. The other 3 words that I love to use is over the week, okay? Because my first blunt and probably swear words, if you've got kids around you, head them outdoors, all right? Nobody gives a shit if you're in a calorie deficit for 1 day. Okay, nobody cares, right? You've got to maintain that consistently over the week. So that means you could be in a deficit, say, for 5 days, maybe even be in a surplus for 2 days, but as long as you're in a net calorific deficit over the week, then you're heading in the right direction, okay? So the first point of call is that people get really like zoned in on what they do in a workout or what they do in a day. But when you take that big step back and you take a much wider, bigger view, then it just makes life a little bit easier. It takes a little bit less stress away, a little bit less, for use of a better word, you know, obsessiveness and just being anal about stuff a little bit. It just gives it a little bit of like breathing space, because now, you know what, if today wasn't a good day, it's okay, because there's 6 other days in the week, okay? And that's what we're going to focus on. All right, so I'm very conscious that I'm talking fast as well. That's just a habit, I guess. In particular, I get really excited talking about nutrition and ranting away stuff. So at any time, if I'm going a bit too fast, just drop me a message in the chat box or put your hands up or something like that, all right? Or diets the same. Well, diets may vary in terms of what approach they may have. So removing a macronutrient like carbs, or limiting the window of eating, otherwise known as kind of fasting, okay? And those are probably 2 of the most generic, you know, wider society kind of approaches. You know, removing a macronutrient, generally carbs, because that gets a real bad rap, and or doing a bit of fasting, okay, intermittent fasting or fasting. And it kind of sounds cool, you know, but it's just basically just creating a big window where you're not putting it into your mouth, okay? And the less calories you put into your mouth, generally, like the more weight you lose. That's just how it works, okay? So no matter what diet you are on, or you see, or your pal or Karen on Facebook, whoever it may be, okay, is on, they're all trying to reduce the number of calories that you eat and or drink, okay? So lower your food intake, pretty much. A very quick analogy, and how I like to try to describe diets in an analogy kind of way, is that I would view them as like cars. Okay, and I've used this analogy a few times before. So there's no one best car. Okay, like there's no one best diet. It's all suitable to what you need, right? So if you're a family of like 5 or something, you're not going to buy a BMW Z4 or an Audi TT. You're not going to buy a 2-seater when you've got 5 bums to kind of find seats for. Okay, if you like to do, if you have a dog or a couple of dogs, so like to go for big long walks into the hills, the Munros, and go big long walks with dogs, then again, you're probably going to need maybe a hatchback or a sedan, estate, something like that. Okay, so there's no right or wrong car. It's getting the car that is going to suit you and your lifestyle, right? And diets is exactly the same thing. Nutrition is exactly the same thing. All right, so you know, we can get away from that. Like, is it right for me? Is it wrong for you? Well, it might have worked for so-and-so who works in an office, okay? But that's great, but is it going to work for you? You know, maybe I, maybe no, sort of thing. So it's just that sort of cognizance that they all do the same thing. You know, cars all have 4 wheels, steering wheel, get you from A to B. Some cars will get you there faster, some cars will get you there with more space, some cars will get you there with a soft top, you know what I mean, right? If it's really sunny, okay? So how does Group X nutrition differ and why it works? Well, this is how Group X nutrition differs and why it works so well for fitness professionals and fitness coaches. We focus on increasing energy output, okay? So just very kind of briefly, try to use my hands as little visual aids here. So what normally happens is that you have your calorie intake and or like your maintenance, okay? And then you have your output, your calorie output, okay? Get the hand square, there we are, okay? So what generic diets generally do is all they look to do is just cut calories, right? Take away a carb or take away whatever, reduce your window eating, all this kind of stuff, right? So they creating that deficit, so that's a deficit that we need to lose weight. Create the deficit only by restricting and reducing calories, okay? But Group X focuses, and my focus is to create the deficit in the other way that a lot of people don't see or don't use, right? So if we keep the calories, you know, around about where they are, we might need to use a small deficit, sure, but the big focus really is to increase the output. Okay, so we don't just cut calories and just jump onto 16 or 14 or 1200 or 800, nothing like that. Okay, we first know where we are, so we know our own maintenance calories because everybody's going to be different. All right, then we can elicit a very small deficit if we so wish, but for a lot of clients, sometimes you're better off just kind of staying steady and looking to increase the output. And once you create a deficit of 200-300 calories this way, guess what? You're in a deficit, right? You are losing weight without feeling rank shit, okay? And without missing out your favorite foods and having to stop socializing and miss out the wine on the Friday, Saturday night kind of thing, okay? And that, as if you may have seen through the, you know, posts and emails, whatever else, that is the magic of Group X and how instructors can say, I'm losing weight, but I've still got high energy, okay? Because they're not doing that generic diet that is just starving themselves of kind of fuel, all right? So I'll take that a little bit further because I know I'm thinking, oh, it sounds nice, but I don't really quite believe you kind of thing, right? So we focus on what we might know TDEE, and that was a big fancy word, big craze that was going around a couple of years ago. So total daily energy expenditure, okay? Easily worded as to energy output, right? It's what you're doing in terms of expending calories every day. So what we focus on is that small marginal increases across each of the 4 factors that make up your TDEE, okay? So TEF, thermal effect of food, your NEAT, so your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, so that's basically like your steps, your lifestyle, okay? Your EAT, so your exercise activity thermogenesis, so that's literally your training session or your classes, okay? And then your basal metabolic rate. Now, you're very, very quickly, before we jump into the next slide, your exercise, your EAT, okay? That's what people solely focus on generally. It's like, right, I've got to cut calories and I've got to double my sessions. I've got to like hit the body hard, smash my body, do some topless WODs and go to all these classes, whatever else like that, okay? But that one generally only takes up maybe about an hour, maybe 2 hours of your day. Yep, you've got 24 hours in a day, but people focus on like the short time as opposed to like the stuff you do outside of the gym or outside of the kind of class, okay? So this little diagram will hopefully help it as well. A few things to cover here, so I'm going to try kind of just do one thing at a time and keep it really kind of clear. So these are the 4 things, okay? And they all have a different percentage or different impact. If you've been around the fitness industry for a while, perhaps, or follow a few PTs or whatever else, you've probably seen something very, very similar to this, okay? Or something, you know, perhaps identical to it, okay? But that's what it is. BMR, your basal metabolic rate. So the minimum amount of energy that requires you just to stay alive every day takes up nearly 2/3 of your total output, okay? That's phenomenal. Then next up is actually the shit you do outside the gym, right? It's your steps, it's your lifestyle. You know, do you just work on your feet? Do you pick things up? Do you like go to the park with the kids? Do you know, have any hobbies and activities? Anything that's, you know, activity based, but not in a gym. All right. Then comes your exercise. So your classes, your teaching, your training, all that kind of stuff. And then also nicely at 10 to 50% is just from the types of foods that you eat. Okay. So thermal effective foods. So I mean, I say this kind of jokingly, but it's kind of cool. You can burn more calories just by eating more protein, okay? You can burn up to 6 times more energy digesting more protein than you do carbs and fats. So that's like better than doing burpees, right? That's better than waking up at 6 in the morning and like boshing out like a little workout or whatever else. Like, just fucking eat more protein, okay? And all of a sudden you're burning more calories. I mean, wow, you know, it doesn't get easier than that, okay? And generally, why this is a struggle, because the majority of fitness instructors, coaches, one are predominantly kind of female. My client demographic for every sort of 10 clients I might be working with, it'll be like a 9-to-1 ratio, female to kind of male. And guess which? Macronutrients, females generally undereat as protein, okay? And that's because perhaps of the bit of fear about, you know, muscle, or about to see the kind of rugby boys and gym boys knocking back the old egg whites and protein shakes and all kind of stuff like that. And there's that maybe a bit of fear around it. But you know, that is an easy win for a lot of female fitness coaches and PTs. It's just upping the protein. Okay. So what we look to do here is that I don't, you know, with private clients or with anybody, I don't say, oh, you need to fix your metabolism. Okay. You don't really fix your metabolism. Okay. You support your metabolism. You're right. Let's just bosh out 30,000 steps a day, right? No, let's just start doing from 6 classes. Well, let's make sure you do 10 classes, and let's make sure you start doing 2-3 training sessions every day and all stuff like that, right? We don't focus on one thing. Okay. I'm taking a little leaf out of John Beresford, whatever it was, the elite performance guy for the British cycling team a couple of years ago, when they were like kicking everybody's ass. Okay. So it's small marginal gains across every facet. So you've got 4 things there. So imagine increasing each factor just by, say, 5%. Yeah. So 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 20%. So you can make a fairly substantive and significant difference to your total energy output by making very small marginal gains on every one of those 4 factors. Okay. So you can see now how it's not, you know, stress and obsessed with one thing. It's an easier approach. You look at everything. Okay. You know, so it suddenly starts, when you kind of keep this in mind, you can see how people that kind of come through Group X Nutrition, either through its workshops or through Kickstarters, or whether it's private coaching, whatever else, have such a high success rate, because it's very different to what you get pummeled out there with, obviously, you know, generic diets in society and maybe other kind of fat loss PTs, whatever they are, just, you know, cut calories. You can't keep cutting calories while you're trying to teach high energy classes. It just doesn't work, or live a high energy lifestyle. Okay. Something's got to give. So just a quick pause there, because I know that's probably been about 10 minutes of just onslaught. So I'll just let that kind of sink in. So, you know, hopefully we focus on all kind of 4 small marginal gains will make a significant gain on the other side. Okay. So the results, as I've kind of touched on already a little bit, it's easy and achievable fat loss. You don't get those energy dumps because you're not cutting calories massively. We have fewer food cravings and binges. Okay. So, you know, when you get those, you may have had them. Okay. When you haven't eaten well that day and you're into like a second class, and it's normally by like the warm up or the first track that you're in a bad place. And you get maybe that slight little extra bit of sweat, so you start feeling a bit lightheaded, and you think to yourself, oh my word, this is going to be a tough 45 minutes or so. And you get that real energy, that real sugar craving. Okay. That's essentially like your body's internal alarm system, going off, going, we need something very sugary, very simple, very easy to break down, because we need glucose and ATP to muscle cells ASAP, right? It's like a little ambulance. The next time you feel that, imagine a little mini ambulance with this little fucking neon siren going off up and down the body looking for fuel. That's what it's crying out for, okay? So when you get the sugar craving, it's because previously or throughout that day or the day before, you've not fueled your body adequately. And now it's like desperate measures time. And that's why you get that like real sugary craving, because your body is clever. Your body is smart. Your body is beyond our kind of apprehension almost in terms of its intelligence, you know. It's saying, this is what we need. All right. It's not so, what we need is a nice, whatever. I always use kale smoothies. Well, I need a nice bean salad or something like that. No. You want chocolate. You want sugary treats. You want the jelly babies, the Smarties, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, to help you kind of get through. More results, obviously, is long-term results and change. Still eat your favorite foods, which is always a winner. And effectively, you're not on a diet. And generally, if you mention the word diet to a lot of people, there's an immediate bit of anxiety. Okay, because dieting and diets are linked with, food omission, a bit of misery, cutting out your favorite foods, a bit of worry, a bit of stress. There's that whole good bad thing going on because you get told what you shouldn't eat, so don't eat that, eat this kind of thing. And if you do eat that, then you feel really shit. And then you like, just overeat for the rest of the day because now you've wrecked your diet or whatever kind of crap that kind of gets put across you. Okay. So you've just removed that whole anxiety, guilt cycle where it's restriction, then binge, all this kind of stuff. And you beat yourself up. You don't feel great about yourself. And guess what happens when you don't feel great about yourself? You comfort eat, right? And as you go round and round and around like that. So once you break that cycle and understand that it's not a diet, we just talk about, an approach or a strategy or, lifestyle instead. And you take away this big negative overhanging beacon over your head because you're just not on a diet. Okay. So a lot of each macronutrient, just to cover the bases here, and just to show the importance of every macronutrient and why I'm not a fan of the scaremongering or the fear-mongering or the extremism stuff, okay? I'm really, really boring, right? I'm not saying like it down the middle or anything like that, but I don't like the extremism stuff because it creates fear. It creates so much nonsense going on in your kind of head. This slide is about just showing the importance of every macronutrient that we need to eat, everyone. Everyone plays a vital role. So protein made up of the amino acids, so 22 amino acids that build and maintain a muscle tissue, builds and promotes growth of hair, skin, and nails. Okay, so if the word muscle puts you off, focus on the hair and nails. Okay, because I'm pretty sure we all like to have good hair and good nails. Okay, not me, I'm bored as anything. But generally, we like to have good hair and good nails, okay? But maintaining muscle tissue is a really, really big, important kind of focus because it's what's going to give you strength and shape, okay? If you don't have muscle tissue on top of your skeleton, you're going to struggle lifting up a body pump bar. You're going to struggle doing anything, okay? You need to have a little bit of skeletal muscle tissue. And it's about maintaining the muscle tissue to make sure that we're not breaking down muscle for energy usage, okay? Which is not a good thing to be at. Carbohydrate provides us with energy, acts as a protector of muscle tissue under stress, and a key component for energy and recovery. Okay, it's your body preferred energy source. When you are training sort of between 70 and about 85, 90% of your maximum heart rate, your primary fuel source is glucose and carbs. Okay, so when you're doing those classes, whether it's kind of Peloton stuff, spin stuff, whether it's a body tag, body pump, RPM, pretty much every group fitness kind of class is going to be spending the majority of its time in that heart rate zone. So you'll be burning up fuel real kind of quick. And the way that, slight tangent here, I don't want to go too many tangents, but different energy transport systems, okay, between carbs and kind of fats. So this is the pro and con of kind of keto and carbs. They both provide energy and ATP to the muscle cell, okay? They both do that. Carbs gets there faster, okay, but fats go there slower, but bring more to the table, okay? So I don't know how to describe it perhaps, but imagine those two cars again. One's a speedy little two-seater, and one's a big, slow bus, okay, it carries 30 people, okay? Those people are ATP as it were, okay? So if you both set off at the same time, and you need to get to the goal, you need to get ADP to the muscle cell, you need to get past that kind of 100 meter line, guess what? The two-seater sports car is going to get there faster, but it's only going to bring, say, X amount, so two people, two ATPs, okay? But the bus, yeah, it's going to take a lot longer to get there, but when it gets there, it's going to have like 10x, it's going to have 10 times ATP. So depending on the energy systems that you're using, you're going to want more of the speedy source, yeah? You don't want to be sitting there flat out, flatlining, trying to be energetic, trying to get fuel going into the muscle cell when you're waiting on that fucking real slow kind of bus, okay? That's great if you're doing a walking, you know, marathon or something of endurance based, okay? And that's, again, the pros and cons of kind of keto, pros and cons of high carb, low carb, high fat, low fat stuff. Anyway, we digress. Back to fats. Provide energy for low intensity exercise, aids in the assimilation, so the absorption of fat soluble vitamins and transportation of fatty acids. Okay, and a big health factor here is that if you don't have enough or adequate fats, you struggle to absorb fatty vitamins or fat soluble vitamins. Okay, you know, so your health is immediately impaired. Okay, because not every vitamin is water soluble, some are water, some are fat soluble. So we need to have an adequate amount of fats through our body as well. Plus, it does give us energy for those kind of low moderate, so when you're kind of warming up, the low moderate activities and hormones as well. Okay, a massive part in hormone production. So we need fats. We don't ever really go 0 fat or no fat or 5 grams of fat, 10 grams of fat. Okay, we don't want to be in that point. We always want to have a little bit of kind of fat intake as well. Okay, so big breath. So to kickstart your fat loss, this is where it's kind of a bit, not contradict myself a little bit, but we need to kind of get this stuff kind of going. So there needs to be a bit of, guidelines, a bit of things that we can work towards our habit trackers, okay? Once we work out your calorie deficit, we will talk about creating kind of macros a little bit more kind of detail, okay? But for the purpose of the fat loss kicker, you're going to see why we're going to be aiming for protein at pretty much double your kind of body weight, okay? The veggies needs to be high up because we want high fibrous foods. We want to make sure that we feel full, so high satiety. We want fruits because fruits are, like veggies, are filled with vitamins and minerals. We want good health, all right? Water intake. Sorry, it's my cat. Water intake to be 3 liters as a baseline. So you want lots of water, okay? And judging by a lot of food diaries that I've seen over the years, again, it's a simple, fundamental, essential that a lot of instructors just really cut short on, okay? There's a lot of reactions throughout the body, particularly energy creation kind of reactions that require the presence of water, okay? For cooling down, for everything, for transportation, for countless reactions and processes. Water is essential, okay? It's kind of like the oil, like the engine, okay? You know, if you don't put oil in the engine, it's going to seize up, it's going to break, it's going to explode. It's just going to put yourself in a bad place. Water is much the same. In terms of steps, so we address the NEAT, okay? You're going to either add on 10 minutes if you're out walking every day, every second day, depending if you've got kids or dogs, or you just like to go out for a walk, put the kind of headphones on for a bit of a podcast. You're going to add 10 minutes, or if you already got a step count that you have or you know of, you're going to add 10% per day. Okay, remember, so small marginal increases. Okay, we're not throwing things upside down. We're just adding a little bit onto it. Excuse me. Track and focus. So the big part there is that we are looking to sort of track your energy, mood, and sleep. You know, throughout those the 3 weeks. But your body is your best feedback mechanism, okay? With private coaching, we either have weekly or fortnightly check-ins for this very reason. We don't just send away macro or something on the first and then wait 4 weeks till we hear back, or how did they go, okay? The more feedback loop that we have, the better that we can just keep nudging, keep guiding, making sure that we're on track, removing all the obstacles and making things a little bit easier, okay? It's much like teaching a class. Say you've got a class, a track of 4 minutes. You don't throw out, all your cues within the first 30 seconds and then just let them crack on for 3 minutes and then come in at the end and go, How was that then? Was that all right for you, kind of thing? Okay, it's a continual, you know, every 4x8, if 8x8, you're checking in, you're looking, you're reacting, how are things going? What do you need to do as the coach / instructor to make sure that that participant or that client is kind of on track? Okay, so the constant feedback is really important. And obviously taking accountability and using your checklist, so the habit checklist. Okay, the habit checklist is something that, you know, on the front of it may seem a bit like, oh, really, you kind of thing. But honestly, from running these from last year a couple of times, using with kind of private clients, it's the stuff that is going to make a big difference. Okay, it's the core of making sure that we build in long-term, you know, lifestyle changes. That's not just a drastic challenge for a couple of days, something like that. Okay, it's looking at making sure this is achievable. Once you get a full kind of tracker as well, so just try to kind of visualize it. You got 7 days along and like 9 slots kind of down. Okay, in your first week you might hit a score of like, you know, 30, 32. Next week, guess what? We're not trying to hit perfect, we're just trying to improve week upon week, week upon week. And you'll see it by the sheer crosses or ticks, whatever you're going to put into it, where the gaps are. And you'll see that, you know what, I've not hit my fruit once this week. Okay, so next week I'm going to hit at least just 3 times a week. Okay, or I've not been hitting my habits. So the first habit that I created, I only hit once this week, right? So that's an easy access and an easy win to make sure they're heading in the right direction. Okay, how to track. So a lot of information in the food, reading the food look kind of guide. You can imagine you probably mostly know how to kind of read food labels, but there is some really good useful information in there as well to kind of keep you on the straight and narrow. You can use the one that I use with my private clients, the Group X Nutrition Tracker, activity and kind of food. So get stuck into that. Okay, either do it, backlog it today or start tomorrow. Easy or no problem, but we are aiming for 3 days. Okay, just a base of an average. If you wanted to continue into a full week, by all means, you can do, but for the purpose of obviously the Kickstarter and our coaching sessions, on our second session, which is on Thursday, we will look at your 3 days. You're going to calculate on an average, and then we are going to aim to use that. Okay, so it's a normal day. It's not a good day or a good week. Try your best to eat how you normally eat. Okay, and best estimates. So if you do have any home cooked foods or soups or anything like that, you know, don't stress too much. Okay, I know not everything has a food label on it, but just give your best estimates. Okay, because remember, we're not focusing on just that one day or the 1 hour. It's over the kind of week. Okay, so as long as we got a fairly close idea as to where we are, track for 3 days, as I said, have a normal 3 days. All right, so first kind of job, do a bit of tracking, complete your starting point form, pick out your goals, most importantly your reason for the bottom as well, because this is going to be your driver. This is going to be your bit of discipline that you're going to be needing and using when you're reaching for the fridge or reading the cupboards for a wee sneaky Kit Kat or wee cheeky whatever it may be. You're thinking, why am I doing this again? It's because I want to look like an authentic fitness role model in front of my classes. It's because I don't want to feel better myself. It's because blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever your own reason is. Starting point, as I just mentioned, okay. Be honest, be open to yourself. Again, you don't need to send this back to me. You know, this is for you to keep. It's your personal journey. Okay, if you want to, by all means, feel free. I'm more than happy to kind of have a look and have a chat about it. But it's your journey, your goal. Okay, take the morning photos if you feel comfortable. So I always say that, obviously, with private clients, if you feel comfortable. Okay, I'm not going to be the guy that tells you that you need to take photos in your bikini or your lycra or your hot pants, whatever it is. Okay, if you're comfortable, for your own reference as well, by all means. Okay, because it'll be good to see that visual comparison from, you know, day 1, day 2 to kind of day 21, day 22, and then thereafter, after 3 months, and then thereafter 6 months perhaps. Okay, because most of the times we will be shifting the scales, but in session number 3, I think it is, we look at 2 really great case studies where people body scale weight has stayed the same, but they have dropped a shed load amount of body fat, so the fat loss. Okay, so, you know, not all successes in terms of body transformation, weight loss is always seen in the scale. Okay, so it can be really helpful for that as well. But do it if you wish, do it for yourself, you know, no problem at all. Okay, if you wish to share, again, much like the starting point, no problem, but it's not it's more for yourself than anything. Visualize yourself where you want to be in 3 weeks time. okay? There's a lot to be said about the visualization kind of techniques, okay? Start seeing where you want to be. Start thinking about how does, you know, not I'm going to use the word the new or the updated or whatever else, but how does the 3-week, you know, Kim want to look like? You know, how does a 3-month Kim going to look like? How is she going to talk? How is she going to walk? How is she going to, what foods is she going to be eating majority of the time? How is she going to feel about having a nice catch-up treat with the friends and Costa or Starbucks, whatever else? Yep. So you start already acting, believing, walking that, you know, newer version of you in 3 weeks time and 3 months time, okay? So you, again, it's the mindset of trying to leave away, oh, it didn't work, or the diets, and about lockdown, about this, and too many mince pies, whatever else. You leave all that shit behind, and you start looking forward about the affirmations about 3 weeks time, 3 months time, etc., etc. Okay, so really create that visual presence of like walking into the class again in 3 weeks time. You'll be walking maybe a little bit taller, smile will be a little bit kind of bigger, a little bit more kind of confident, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so yeah, you know, do not skimp on that, and remember your why. Yeah, what's your reason? Okay, which means we're all got our own individual reasons, but what's your reason? So talking about the habits, this is how the habits are going to roll. We'll be doing this together. So I do not want to give you, excuse me, you know, 2 habits or a total of 10 habits every week. Okay, well, every week, 2 habits in every session, 10 habits in kind of total. Okay, I do not want to be saying this is what you need to do, because I don't know your lifestyle, I don't know your personality, I don't know your circumstances, etc., etc. So we do this more as together. I will share a habit that I think would be really great based on experience for you to take on board. And then number 2, or the second one, will be yours to make up yourself, for yourself. Okay, so 2 habits to start from tomorrow. Okay, a gratitude log every morning. Okay, now you can use, you know, a little notepad, a little A5 notepad if you wish. Okay, you can use the starting point thing if you wish. You can use the habit tracker if you wish. You can use your mobile phone, whatever. Okay, you can write it when you make a breakfast or you're sitting on the pan in the morning, whatever. Okay, just write up every morning a gratitude log. Okay, this morning I'm grateful for, you know, my health to go teach class. I'm grateful for my friends, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the ability to choose what to eat for breakfast. Okay, anything. Okay, but take it seriously, because it is really kind of valuable. It's all about switching up the kind of mindset. Okay, so number 2, well, whatever you fancy. Okay, whatever you fancy. Very quickly, because I know we've been talking for about 40 minutes now. So habits, we obviously look to sort of include or create habits, positive habits, but that can also work in removing negative and bad habits. Okay, so if you have a bad habit, say, I don't know, maybe putting the TV on in the morning and disengaging from friends, family, or yourself, or whatever else, like just being distracted, and maybe that gets you into a bit of like a lazy morning, something like that, then fine. Then no TV until 9 o'clock or something like that, okay? If it's something maybe to do with your phone, and you maybe just stay on your phone a bit too long, but too much or something like that, set a limiter on how many times you pick up your phone. Most phones will have that built in, the kind of pickups kind of thing. So if you pick up your phone 100 times a day, you'll be surprised, right? 10% off it. You pick up your phone still after 10 o'clock at night, maybe removing that habit of looking at your mobile phone after 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, whatever it may be. Okay, so any negative habit that you think yourself, you know what, it's not really aligning with where I want to be, it's a bad habit, it's just makes you a bit, you know, whatever. It could be like going down that crisp aisle or that confectionery aisle in Asda, right? Then you know you don't need anything from there, but you just go down there, and then all of a sudden you find yourself picking a few things in. So you can't go ready in the fridge or the cupboard for sweets and chocolates if you don't buy them in the first place, right? So, you know, something to kind of think about. Removing habits can be as powerful as creating new habits as well, all right? And that is it pretty much for the first session. So I just say 30 minutes every session, but I think every session is probably going to be a bit more than 30 minutes, all right? So first of all, just thank you for joining us. And then once you're kind of caught up, fire across any thoughts, any kind of questions. But this is where you can find me. Obviously on Instagram, as you probably know, there's a page there. And obviously on the Linktree kind of stuff, they've got the ebook there, some videos, some webinars, meal plans, wherever you can, all on Instagram. Okay, I'll probably say it probably every session, but I'm a one-man band. I have a big passion for nutrition and for fitness and for helping everybody out there. So if you feel comfortable, again, please feel free to share any of the resources, part of the webinar, a screenshot, anything like that on your socials. Tag me in it or anything like that. It really help out with the kind of growth of the sort of business and mission, as it were, to beat the diets out and lead them in 2021, etc., etc. Okay, so it'll be hugely appreciated if you feel comfortable, of course. Okay, and that's it. So starting points, habit trackers, habits as well. Get stuck into it, and then we will have our second session on Thursday, 8 o'clock. And thanks for joining. I shall not keep you any later or longer. I shall end the session, and I'll be online for a couple of minutes in case you want to kind of catch up with them. All right. Hope it's been good, it's been worthwhile, and look forward to the next 21 days. And yeah, of course, really keen to hopefully shift a good few number of pounds. But if we can shift pounds, it'd be great. But if we can really transform how you feel, energy, mood, confidence, that clarity, then that's like a double winner. Yep, and that's the end goal. Okay. Cool, sign off for me. So have a wonderful Monday and a great week, and we shall talk soon.